choices being made inside of Facebook are disastrous for our children, for our public safety, for our privacy, and for our democracy. And that is why we must demand Facebook make changes. During my time at Facebook, first working as the lead product manager for civic misinformation and later on counter-espionage,
oh my God,
I saw Facebook repeatedly encounter conflicts between its own profits and our safety. Facebook consistently resolved these conflicts in favor of its own profits. The result has been more division, more harm, more lies, more threats, and more combat. In some cases, this dangerous online talk has led to actual violence that harms and even kills people. This is not simply a matter of certain social media users being angry or unstable, or about one side being radicalized against the other. It is about Facebook choosing to grow at all costs, becoming an almost $1 trillion company by buying its profits with our safety. During my time at Facebook, I came to realize a devastating truth. Almost no one outside of Facebook knows what happens inside of Facebook.
great.
The company intentionally hides vital information from the public, from the US government, and from governments around the world. The documents I have provided to Congress prove that Facebook has repeatedly misled the public about what its own research reveals about the safety of children, the efficacy of its artificial intelligence systems, and its role in spreading divisive and extreme messages. I came forward because I believe that every human being deserves the dignity of the truth.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, too. Yeah. So basically, what we learned today is that Mark Zuckerberg is a giant troll. Yeah. And he's trolling you for profit. It's a lie disseminating instrument of civilization's collapse. This is what he is selling. And people are clicking on it. People are buying it. People are loving the poison. And I'm not shocked because we have a population that's willing to drink, bleach. So, or Listerine now. That's another one. And the betadine solution, which, by the way, will only work in a petri dish. Your esophagus and your intestines are not a petri dish. You will burn them if you drink iodine and bleach. It is just so, it's unbelievable. So what we learned today is that it's not a free speech issue. If I could just, distill it down to its basic, to the basic content of what she was trying to tell every single person today who has a child who uses Facebook or Instagram, who has a mother or a father or a family that's been just torn asunder because of what they read on the Facebook, okay? Mark Zuckerberg is doing this in order to get people poisoned, in order to get people angry, in order to and he does it not because of what I post or you post or your neighbor post. He does it by manipulating the speech, manipulating it. It's an algorithm. We are literally being defeated by our lack of math skills. It has nothing to do with free speech. And everybody that's, been flailing around and feeding you this steady diet of, it's just free speech, it's just free speech. No, it isn't the free speech. It's the algorithm that pumps into your news feed more of what you click on to the extreme. So that, here's a nice little example, outside of politics, so that everyone can, not judge what I'm saying by which side of the aisle you think I might be on or you might be on. If you have a teenager and she's interested in, like a low-fat diet, or she's interested in recipes that might not include a lot of carbohydrates or a lot of sugary stuff, and she's looking for recipes for herself, Facebook knows that, and they will redirect her to sites that actually promote things like anorexia and purging and other eating disorders. And she will be fascinated by this stuff. And she will click on it. And the next thing you know, she's starting to believe that sticking her finger down her throat is going to keep her thin, not a good diet, which is where she started, but that it's easier to eat anything you want and then just go throw it all up. That's the damage that's being done here, and it's being done on purpose. It's built for blunt force emotional reaction. That is what gets people to stay engaged on this ridiculous platform called Facebook, on Instagram, which is affecting younger kids, that are coming up after us. I mean, we had, we started with Prodigy and CompuServe. And then we progressed into, MySpace, where we could save pictures and share pictures. And that progressed into Facebook. And then Facebook moved on into Instagram, where it's moving pictures. You see what I mean? And it's going to keep on going this way until and unless algorithms are regulated. And they need to be regulated because the thing that tends to generate the most interactions, the most clicks, the most time spent is the same thing I learned in radio all those years ago. And you know what that is? When people hate you, they listen longer. It's the same premise, except now it's anorexia that's being served up, or it's, overthrowing your government. Or it's Christianity and blogs that are literally being paid for out of Macedonia, out of, Russia, that are coming in here to misinform or disinform people about vaccinations, or misinform people about democracy, or misinform people about basic life decisions. People who hate you listen longer. And that is what Facebook is about. It's about making you stay on that platform as long as possible because they can then show you as many ads as possible. And in the end, it's always been all media. It's always been about time spent listening, time spent engaged, and selling ads. And Facebook is no different than that. That's what he makes money off of, selling advertising directed at targeted audiences. It's radio for 1 billion people. And that's why I understand what's going on. It's not any more complicated than that. And when you hear them talk about algorithms and math and AI, artificial intelligence, and that they're deploying this technique and that technique, something, it's the same damn thing. When they talk about engagement-based ranking, it's radio rankings, it's Nielsen ratings. It's the same damn thing because that increases the cost of an ad on that particular platform. If a lot of people are engaged around this hateful, ideology, or if a lot of people are engaged around bad behavior, like Skittles parties, you know what those are? Those are when your kids literally get together in someone's house in their basement and they take all mom and dad's prescription drugs. They just throw them in a pile and they look like Skittles because you got your SSRIs, which might be purple and orange, and then you got your blue ones, which might be roxycodone. You see what I mean? And they call them Skittles parties. And as many people as can be dragged into a conversation about that is who they're going to advertise to. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.